the Art and Industry of Business and Living podcast, discussing conscious choices around business, money, life and living, and creating a greater future for you and the planet. Hey everybody, welcome to the Art and Industry of Business and Living. So today we have a little bit of a different podcast for you. I recently just did a book launch in Houston, Texas, on the new book that I wrote called Relationship, Are You Sure You Want One? And it was with Brendon Watt, who I was in a relationship with for 8 years. And then we chose to uncreate our relationship. So pretty much break up the relationship, but not break up each other. It's like just because you end up breaking up a relationship doesn't mean that you lose you or you lose anything. What if you could actually gain something? So this book has a lot of tools in it about how to actually create a relationship. And within the launch, we also talk about a little bit of a few hints, etc., on, uncreating your relationship as well. So I'm going to pass you over to that. If you would like to watch it live, we were wearing nice bright red outfits, so you'll get to see that. If you want to watch it live, go to the show notes and you'll find the link there on my YouTube account so that you can check that out as well. So thank you for joining us here on the Art and Industry of Business and Living, and welcome to Relationship, Are You Sure You Want One?
Let's do the clap.
Thank you, Hannes, for giving us the clap.
You're welcome.
Nothing sexual.
Yeah, start of the relationship. Am I super, super loud?
You're louder than me.
Yeah. Can we maybe turn me down a bit?
Thank you.
Can you turn me down a little bit, Hannes? Just a little bit.
Okay, so welcome everybody and the thousands of people around the world that are tuning into this.
Yes. Woo! How does it get any better than this?
Can I start with saying I am so grateful for all of you and everyone out there who is reading this book and looking at something different with the relationship, because this is what we wrote it for. I mean, we have created a relationship for the past 8 years that has been something different. I don't know about any of you guys, but for me, in growing up, I didn't see any that worked. And even when we created our relationship, we had this place of looking for everywhere where it wasn't going to work, not how we could create it. When we realized we were doing that, we changed. So this book is really about getting people to be free on the topic of relationship and getting them to have more ease with it. Okay, getting you guys to, if you desire a relationship with another person, you can have ease with it. It does not have to be struggle.
And if you're going to choose a relationship, choose a
now
great
you're too low.
one.
Now you're low.
Huh?
Off or low.
Now I'm really low.
Yeah, your scarf
I said,
was...
if you're gonna choose a relationship,
choose
a great one. And as Brendon said too, it's interesting. I mean, this book is filled with a lot of stories about our relationship and also about the tools that we use to create a great relationship. It is, for any of you guys who have read it yet, you'll know what we're talking about. It's incredibly vulnerable. We tell you everything. We don't leave anything unsaid. We talk about money, we talk about sex, we talk about parenting, we talk about friendship, we talk about being male, being female, being all of it. And I remember when...
well, we also talk about relationship.
Yeah.
Hence the title. But it's like we talk about the relationship and the insanity that is around it on this planet. I mean, it is crazy. If you ask people to tell you about their relationships, the shit that comes out of their mouth is like, you would live with that? For what reason? But it's like, like I said, we want you guys to get to this place where you can create something different with it that works for you. Because I could tell you about great relationships and you would look at it and go, well, that wouldn't work for me. So it's not about us telling you that we've got it right, because we did not, and we did not have it right. It's about getting you to see that you have a different choice with it and what's going to work for you in a relationship.
And I remember years ago too, when we first started, I don't know what you want to call it, dating, seeing each other, and we were hanging out together. And at one point, Brendon's mum actually said to us, okay, because she said something about us being in a relationship, and we said, we're not in a relationship. And she goes, okay, I need help. And we're like, all right, what's up? And she goes,
I see the way you two are together, and if I'm going to create a relationship, that's what I would like it to be. But you guys say you're not in a relationship. And she goes, what the fuck is it? And we went, oh, okay, we finally have to sort of like come to terms that we might be in a relationship.
It's a friendship.
Like the way he moved in, when we created our whole relationship really, I'm going to say, on like this casual sort of energy. We came back from a 7-day event with Access Consciousness, and I was living in a 2-bedroom house, and you know, he would quite often stay over. And we came back from this 7-day event, and he looked at me and he went, I need somewhere to put my clothes. And I went,
and at that stage, I had 3 outfits.
Not many clothes.
I had 3 outfits.
Exactly. So he was requesting like this much of the wardrobe. And I looked at him and I went, are you moving in?
Like
and
this much.
And he goes, yep, I guess so. And we're like, all right. And that's how we moved in. But that's how we created everything. Like even when we bought a house together, we were like, you know, I remember Brendon saying to me, I need to get a bigger house because he had a dog and a kid. And I went, okay, thinking, okay, he's going to move out and find a bigger house and do all this. And he looked at me and he went, with you? And I went, oh, all right, you know, and we ended up getting the house next door and moving in. But everything we chose was really based on following the energy, even though I don't think we quite realised at the time how much we just sort of went, okay, next choice, next choice.
We also listened to what was going on for the other person, because most of us in relationship created on past tense. We'll create it on what's been before in relationship, or how our parents created a relationship, or how our friends have created a relationship. And for us, we started seeing these places where we went, because this has happened before, it's going to happen again. That's not how you create a future in your life, ever.
And how many of you have had a really bad, shitty relationship? Yeah. So we both had too, and we both swore to ourselves, like not with talking to each other, but we both swore to ourselves that we would never, ever, ever, ever do that again. I mean, I don't know about you ladies out there, but nearly every man I chose, and if anyone's watching on live stream that I chose,
they choose men too.
But I chose the men who would judge me and my body that would match the judgments I had of myself, so that I could not become more of me, so that I would always have those judgments that would be so present. And Brendon was the first person that I was in a relationship with that didn't judge me or my body. And it was like, wow, that is such a different energy to be around, and such an amazing energy that is actually available to each and every single one of you. It's like, so how many of you have been doing relationship based on this reality? And everything that is
everyone.
Zillion, we destroy and uncreate it.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds.
I mean, how many women...
You can all put your hands up to that one.
How many women out there look for, you know, the man who's going to be like 6'2", I don't know, Harvard education, drive a certain car, he's going to be a certain age, he's going to earn a certain amount of money, rather than what is it that you would like to ask for to show up? What if it was an energy? What if it was asking for kind, caring and nurturing to show up? And I'm also going to ask you, how many of you are actually willing to receive the kindness?
Well, and also how many of you desire a relationship?
Truth. Let's look at this for a second.
The name of the book?
I want you to, like, no matter what you're in, even if you're sitting next to your partner right now, your husband, your wife, your lover, whatever it is, look at the question, truth. Do you actually desire a relationship? Yeah, what's the energy that comes up in the room? No.
Gross.
You know, the word relationship means the distance between two things. So what if it was something else that you were asking for? What if it was more of a communion? What if it was something you were asking for that would contribute to you and wasn't the definition of relationship as this reality tells you of what it should be?
Well, and one of the things we talk about a lot in this book is having a relationship with you. And what we learnt, and every tool that we've talked about in this book as well, is we knew that if we weren't willing to have those tools, if we weren't willing to go to those places for ourselves, we couldn't have it in a relationship. If you're not willing to be kind to you, you cannot receive kindness from another person. You cannot. If you're not willing to be true to you, you cannot have that with another person. So it all starts with, what relationship do you desire with yourself? That's why the topic of relationship is very interesting, because most people think, well, to have another in my life is relationship. What about you? What if it started with you and what you were willing to have for you, and then could have anything you desire with another?
And how many of you have decided that in a relationship you want to own someone? I like the way some of the women laugh. That's great. At least you're acknowledging it.
I'm mainly going to say ladies, but gentlemen also. If you desire to own somebody, then maybe get yourself
a puppy.
And
if you desire to train someone, get a puppy. All right?
At least the puppy will piss on the floor and not on the seat. So
it's like, what
everything that brought up times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pock and pot all night, shorts, boys and beyonds. And if you're watching this on live stream or you're in the room and you're thinking, what the hell are they talking about?
We don't know.
Go to theclearingstatement.com, and Dr. Dane here explains about the clearing statement from Access Consciousness. Brilliant, okay? It works. It changes the energy of everything.
Yeah. And one of the things we wanted to do with this book and tonight is be as light and as funny with this as we can, because people make it so serious. We want to show you guys the jovial side of relationship, the fun side of relationship. It doesn't need to be all about, oh, I'm in love forever. We're going to, hey, you know what?
What, Brendon?
We did end up in rocking chairs.
We did too. Here we go. We did it. Excellent.
We did it.
Yep. But you know what? One of the things that Brendon and I looked... so if you don't know, Brendon and I are in a relationship for 8 years, and about 5 months ago, we chose to uncreate our relationship. So we chose to break up the relationship. Now, the interesting thing is, it's like, people look at us, like, the other day we were making videos, and Justine went, are you sure you're not in a relationship? But you know what? We actually care a lot about each other.
And we've horrified Justine in the meantime.
And it's like, we care a lot about each other. Just because we broke up the relationship doesn't mean, we were on TV the other day and they were like, I can't believe you're sitting on the couch together and not fighting and not arguing. And we were like, why would you? Like, just because you broke up a relationship doesn't mean that you have to hate each other. We always said, what if you could, every day you wake up and say, okay, is this working for me today? And if it is, you choose it. And if it's not, then you start to ask some questions and have a look at it. And then you can also, like, if you choose to break up a relationship, celebrate it. It's like, get a bottle of champagne and it's like, and celebrate it and say, hey, thank you so much for these years that we've spent together. And now what else is possible? Now, I say that too, and we used to say that a lot. And it's also not the easiest thing in the world. Like, we had some hairy moments. At one point, we literally got a bottle of wine, went out into our veranda and went, all right, we've got to be willing to have World War III here. And we went out into the veranda and we were willing to yell at each other, have World War III, tell each other everything we hated, do all of that. And it ended up being one of the greatest conversations we'd ever had.
Why?
It was amazing.
Why was that, though?
Because we were willing to actually say what was.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And that's the thing in relationship. When you're willing to do what's true for you, then you can have a different level of receiving with the person you're in relationship with. When you're actually willing to say what's true for you and you're not looking to, how do I please this person, or how do I make it okay for them, or when you look at it from this different place, you can actually get to something different. And in this book, there's things that we talk about that, we did the TV thing on Fox Houston. The lady that followed us was a relationship expert. She was, so her point of view compared to our point of view on relationship is going to be completely different. Because like I said, we are not experts at this. We just know what's worked for us and what's created change for us.
And we've used the tools of Access Consciousness. And can I tell you, throughout, when we actually finally went, all right, we're in relationship, like, what's that going to be like, there was a lot of moments where, if we had done relationship according to this reality, it wouldn't have worked out. Like, I remember this one time, we have a house across the road from the beach, and I don't even remember why I was cranky at Brendon. Probably because he was just a man. I'm just kidding. But am I?
And an asshole.
And I was just cranky at him. And I was across the road at the beach, and Gary Douglas happened to ring me, and he goes, "What's going on? What's up?" And I was like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." You know, I'm cranky at Brendon. And he said, "You know what you need to do?" And I said, "What?" And he goes, "You need to go home and you need to make it all about him." Now, I don't know how many of you guys have been in a situation like this where all you want to do is make it about you. And all I wanted to do was make it about me and how right I was and how wrong he was. And when he said that, like that tool, that one tool will create so much for you in relationship. Go and make it all about them. And I went, you know what? All right, everything that I, have done previously doesn't work, so I'm going to go home and do that. So I walked in the house and I just started talking to Brendon and being present with him and making everything about him. And how, because I was grateful for him. I did. I did. Because I am grateful for him. Like underlying everything, there's a whole lot of gratitude. So I was being grateful for him and making it all about him. And I'm not kidding. Within 10 minutes, he was going, "What can I cook you for dinner tonight? Would you like me to make you a drink? What do you want?" And I was sitting on the couch going, "Oh my God, this shit works." And I was like, "This is awesome." So, and these tools of access consciousness, which we talk about in every single page of this book, work. And you probably will not like all of them.
You'll probably not like all of them.
I reckon you should get the book and you underline the ones in red that you go, "No, no, no, I'm never going to use that."
Which will be all of them.
And then if you try just a few of them, your life and your relationship might be just a little bit easier.
And one of the things that we learnt with it all was the things that we resisted the most were the things that created the most change in our relationship. So when you go, "I'm not doing that because I'm going to be right with this," do you want it to work or not want it to work? If you want it to work, do it. Okay, as uncomfortable as it might be at the time, as much as you don't want to do it, when that comes up, and with every area in my life, when that energy comes up for me, I know it's the area I need to look at changing.
And if you're going to choose relationship, like we said, have a great one. Have fun. Like, what if the purpose of relationship was actually to have fun?
What?
Yeah, have fun. I mean, we had a lot of fun.
Fun?
And it's interesting because one of the questions, we had a few questions that were sent in, and one of the questions that was sent in was, how do you know basically when the relationship is done? And it's like, for us, it's like we had so much fun in the relationship, and we have fun now. And we also knew that there was this place that was like, okay, have we done what we were meant to do together? Like, we could have dragged it out and got the rocking chairs, but we did, see?
We did.
Got the rocking chairs, yeah. So we could have dragged it out, but instead, it's like, if I perceive the energy and if you perceive the energy of our lives, it's like, how much more is available from actually choosing to uncreate the relationship? There's like so many more possibilities, so many more adventures available, rather than actually sticking to what worked in this reality. Because it wasn't a bad relationship, it was a friggin' great relationship, it was awesome. And then, it's like, relationship, are you sure you want one? So what if you were able to ask that question every single day and see what shows up for you? Because what if you were not right and you were not wrong for choosing relationship or not choosing relationship? One of the first classes I ever went to with Gary Douglas in Sydney, Australia, was an evening class. And my point of view was always, I don't want to do relationship because I can't see a good one. Why would I choose one? How many of you have that point of view? You're like, oh my God, But in that, can you hear the question? Yeah, there's no question, okay? I was like, I'm not doing relationship because I can't see a good one. But the first time I ever went to a seminar with Gary and he spoke about relationship, I walked out of the room going, oh wow, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong for not desiring to get married and have kids. It's just a choice. And all of it is just a choice. And then I did realise, I went, oh, I'm actually functioning though from a no-choice universe. Because in my world, in my reality, it was like, I don't do relationship. So if I had that point of view that I don't do relationship, there's no choice. It's sort of like, if you're vegetarian and you say, I don't eat meat. It's like, what if every day you woke up and went, oh, I prefer not to eat meat. You prefer something, but I was locking in this conclusion, I don't do relationship. So as soon as I realised I had that limitation, that conclusion, I went, okay, I don't desire to have any limitations or conclusions, so let's change it. So I did change it, and then Gary said to me, you need to sleep with Brendon Watt. And I said, why? And he said, because you'll find out what it's like to sleep with someone who's kind, caring and nurturing. So I did my homework. And I did find out what it was like to be with someone who was kind, caring and nurturing and not judgmental. And then 8 years later, we choose to...
I love the energy that brings up. That was fucking awesome. Now everyone
There's
wants to...
There's people clapping. The translators
now
are clapping.
Everybody wants to do their homework.
I know. I'll be signing books and you'll be grabbing phone numbers.
Yeah.
Hey, you're welcome.
Yeah. Security.
But the interesting thing is, like I said before, how many of you are actually willing to have someone who's kind in your life?
Well, but that's the thing you talked about before as well, with the definition of who you need to have in your life. You cannot see that person who will actually contribute to it. I mean, if Simone were to look from the place of, I want someone who has money, who is, stable in their life, who doesn't have children, who doesn't have any baggage, who doesn't have any debt. I was not that guy. I mean, we moved in together. We bought a house together. And I said to her one day, oh, and by the way, I was like $250,000 in debt. But I am very good at sticking my fucking head up my ass. So I didn't even see it. The debt was like, it was irrelevant to me. And I told her and she was like, oh, I thought that's something you tell somebody before you bought a house with them. And I was shocked. I was like, it is? But it was like, but if she would have had all these things in place in order for what she was willing to receive in a relationship, she wouldn't have got me. Because I was in debt, I had baggage, I had a kid, I was unhappy, I was all of the things that you would never ask for in a relationship. You wouldn't ask for that. I mean, who's going to go, oh, okay, yeah, I want to, yep.
I always wanted a dog.
Yep.
I did always want a dog, and now I have a dog.
You got a dog. Yeah.
But I never actually got a dog because I thought I couldn't commit to a dog. And then when you showed up with a dog, I went, that's brilliant, because I don't actually have to commit to the dog, but he shows up with the dog.
So you got to look from the place of what is it you actually desire. If you want somebody who's kind and caring in your life, ask for that. Okay, one of the things we talk about in Access is somebody who's good in bed, somebody who lets you do whatever you want and you let them do whatever they want and they contribute financially. Okay, those three things, you have the platform for a great relationship because you can build upon it. People look from this place of, I need to have the perfect relationship before it even starts. Relationship is a creation every day. You don't meet the perfect person and then they stay perfect because then you are in judgment anyway.
Well, perfection is a judgment.
You got to look at it from the place of, okay, how do we create this now that we have this platform that works for us?
So some of the myths of relationship?
I need you. I need you in my life.
And there is no the one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to tell you here, ladies and gentlemen, tonight here in Houston, Texas, there is no the one. Even though Brendon even has a white horse and he can ride in on a white horse, but there is no the one, okay? Doesn't work. It's like there is no the one. If you're looking for the one, please give that up now. And one of the second myths I would say too, especially for the ladies, and this is something that I definitely came across, is that someone's going to look after you. And it's like, how many of you guys are looking for someone to look after you? And it's like, what if it was more about contribution? What if it was about two people contributing to each other, whatever that may be? And it can look really, really different. I mean, I remember the day when Brendon told me that he, owed all this money. It was to the tax department in Australia. And I remember sitting there looking at him going, oh, okay. So I thought that's what you would tell someone before you bought the house. All right, so what are we going to do now? I went into question. It wasn't like, why would I get angry? Why would I do that? It was like, no, okay, let's ask questions. What are we going to do about it? Because we do have a house together. We're in a relationship. So what can we create together? And what if relationship was about creating at least 20 times more together than what you would alone? What if it's not about leaning on someone? What if it's not about needing someone? What if it's not about having someone to look after you? What if it's literally about contribution?
Well, and the other side of that as well is the not having somebody to look after you. Most people that I see in relationship do, okay, well, that means I need to not rely on them. A great relationship is where you know you can rely on somebody. Simone and I relied on each other for different things. So I could count on her for things and she could count on me for things, but that's that place where you know that in that relationship you'll contribute to each other. So it's not about you have to be one and then you have a relationship. It's about seeing where you add to each other's lives and adding it.
You have each other's back.
Yeah.
And what does that mean to you?
Of what? You don't have a microphone.
Okay, so Julia is saying, can you give an example of that for the translators up the back?
I was going to say, can you give me an example of like asking that with a microphone?
So I would say one of the examples too is, I mean, Brendon and I have lived like, we don't have a normal average life, like, you know, go to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. It's like we travel around the world doing seminars. So even looking at the schedule, like when we were in relationship, we definitely took into account where we were and what was going on, but we would be like, okay, where do you want to go? Where do I want to go? And then we can meet up somewhere. That sounds like fun. But we never restricted what we were choosing based on the other person, and yet we were such a contribution to the other person going somewhere. Like occasionally too, it'd be like, hey, I wouldn't mind if you came here because I could use the help or the contribution, especially in certain countries. It's like not as easy to be in. So we would contribute in that way, and that's with our work, that's with our travel, etc. So that would be one example. Do you have another one?
We also didn't try and help each other. Like if I was having if I was being depressed, then Simone would be like, okay, you're depressed, because she knew that me choosing depression was a choice. And if she was being cranky, then okay, you're being cranky. But that allowance is, I'm here for you if you need me. I'm here for you if you require anything that I can contribute to changing this, and have fun with it.
And ladies, please, you really, 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 really need to get this. When a man is processing stuff, he doesn't need your help.
We're going to talk a lot about in this book too, is the difference. He might
want to watch video games. He might want to watch TV. He might want to read a book. He might want to do something. He doesn't need your help.
Men do not like to talk.
They need space. They need like a man cave, something. And the only thing I would say to Brendon is go, hey, you know, do you need anything? And he'd go, nope, I'm good. And it could go on for 3 hours, it could go on for 3 days, but that's it. It's not personal.
3 weeks.
It's not your fault, okay? Just keep creating your life. They need that space. Whereas a woman will go, you know, blah, 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 blah. I feel like this and I don't go about this. And the man's going, what the fuck? Do I have to fix all this? Like, what do I need to do here?
Yeah.
And it's like, so you've also got to get men, when the woman is going on and on about stuff, they don't want you to fix it. They just want you to listen, okay? So ideally what you should do as a woman, find a girlfriend and talk to them.
Or a puppy.
And talk to them. And just leave the man alone, okay? It's like you're not going to fix him. He doesn't want fixing. It's a really cool tool. I remember when we moved into the house and we had a house that we had, there was a bedroom, there was a room downstairs that we were like, what do we do with this room? And we could have created it into anything. And over the years, it has been a lot of different things. And I remember when we said...
It has multiple personalities.
It does. But I remember saying, well, what if you had it as like a man cave or something? And I remember you, Brendon, saying, wow, the relationship he was in before, there's no way in the world that your partner would have ever suggested that you have a man cave, because she would not have wanted Brendon to have a space that was his. And I remember I didn't get the sense of like how much I was an allowance of like, of course, like if you need a space to have as yours, that's what you would gift someone.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's anything against me if he goes and sits down in the man cave. It's just that's what he's choosing. I'll go across the beach, whatever it is. It's like, but you've got to give each other space. Give each other space to choose what it is that that person would like to choose.
Yeah. So let's do either question, like, obviously this isn't going to go on all night, so we want to contribute whatever we can to you guys. So if we could do a few questions in the room. We do have a few that we've been sent in. Because I want to bring up the insanity of a relationship that people go.
Then do that.
That they,
because most of the people in the room have been to the foundation class, and right now I want to hand matchsticks out so that we can just like keep your eyes open. I know there's a lot of people on live stream as well, but it's very funny looking around. You can tell the ones who've been in here because they're like.
And also, we are most likely talking about the most insane topic on the planet. Okay? Relationship. So if you have shit around it, know that you're not the only one. It's going to be okay. Read the book. But it's like if you have... Let's get a couple of questions maybe in the room, and then we can do the...
Does anyone have any questions?
That we have. Or are you all just...
I have one.
Okay.
Okay, you got to grab the mic, yeah. Is Brendon free for a date? Yes. No.
Oh, so you're still my secretary?
I'm pimping you out now.
Okay, good. I am not cheap.
No, he is not cheap. I will vouch for that.
So anyone who's even thinking about that needs to know I am not cheap.
Hey, that is one thing that, just to say before you ask your question, we do talk about that a lot in the book as well, is about money in a relationship. Because how many of you don't want to talk about money in a relationship? And usually, of course, one person is earning more money than the other. And in our relationship, for quite a long time, I was earning more money than Brendon, which is not this reality. The man is supposed to bring home the money. He's supposed to do that. And there's quite a few females in this room that I know I've spoken to that are in a relationship that they earn more money than their partner, and they have struggled.
Use it against them?
And they've struggled with what to do with it. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be a struggle. It's like, what if you could contribute to them? What if I just said to someone the other day, if you want them to go, like, travel, you need to pay for them. Right now, they're not making as much money as you. So if you want them to go, pay for it. It's like, what the fuck does it matter? It's just money. But we do talk a lot about money in this book. So it's a big topic on with relationships. Cool. So
yes.
Your question?
Go.
Okay, in China and me, when we talk about sex relation,
Are you going to talk about sex in China? I mean, I just facilitated a class in China, and it was very interesting to see how many people talked about sex in China.
A bunch of sluts in China as well.
I was like,
heard.
Chinese people are slutty people. I'm not moving to China. Keep going.
And I know in Access have 3 questions about sex relation. But then the energy I feel warm up. So when this energy open, what can we choose and what ESC can we be into enjoy sex relation?
Well,
can you talk about this?
Well, if you come from a culture that has so many judgments about what sex should look like, about what sex and relationship should look like, then oftentimes what we do is we buy into these judgments, and then when energies come up, say, for instance, with sex, we go, well, this is this. So we don't actually allow ourselves or our bodies to experience what they can, and we don't allow ourselves to be present based on the judgments that we have around sex and relationship. Okay, so you've got to look at it and go, wow, this is different. And the easiest way to get to that is you're going to have to be in, okay, interesting point of view, I have this weird energy coming up right now. Interesting point of view, I have a judgment about this. Because you're going to need to relearn and reteach yourself how to be in relationship and also how to have sex. I mean, for me, that's Alison's keen to learn, to relearn. Okay, good. But it's like, for me, I was in a relationship with a girl for 10 years who was highly abusive with sex. So I thought I was the worst person in the world at sex. I thought everything to do with sex was wrong. And I created all of these constructs with sex that just weren't true for me. So when you've had that and when you've been in a culture like that, you've got to relearn. And you've got to do that by start looking at what's true for you. Okay, what's true for me here? How would I like to have sex? Ooh, that's fun. Ooh, that feels good.
And actually,
Ooh.
one of the things that Brendon taught me, because I don't know about you guys, but I was definitely one of those people who, validated my relationship based on how many times I had sex, and I didn't even cognitively realize I was doing it. And I remember Brendon said to me once, how many times does sex occur when two people desire to have sex? Usually one person is doing it to make the other one feel okay. And I was like, crap, that's exactly what it's been like. Like for me, I was always
heal
like...
them. Or to save
I was
them.
like, 3 times a week is apparently successful, isn't
Wednesdays,
it? It's like
it's business
7
time.
times a week, it's like, exactly. 7 times a week, it's like highly sexual. And it's like, what the fuck does that mean? And it's like, what if, you had sex 4 times a day and then you didn't have sex for 4 weeks and then you had sex 5 times a day? It's like, what if none of that mattered? What if none of that meant anything? And what if you literally followed the energy of 2 people's bodies, and when you desire to copulate, that's what it is you choose to do? Not based on what you're supposed to do. Not based on Wednesday nights, it's business time. It's date
it's
night.
business time. I got my socks on.
It's business time.
You all went visual. Stop it. Okay?
Just with you, the socks and nothing else?
They're trying to be serious. Okay, I'm not going any further. Okay. You've embarrassed me.
But what if sex was something that was easy? Like, what if it was something that you could talk about and you could, say what was going on for you? And how many times when you have sex is about, this person does this and this, you go down on them, they go down on you. It's like, what if it wasn't like that? What if it was like, okay, I go down on you and that was fun. Okay, let's cook dinner now. And that's it. It's like there's no like this, you must do this and I must do this. What if it was just this sense of absolute play? Let's get naked and play. What if it was like that? What if it was something different?
Wow, that's fucking funny.
And everything that that brought up, we just went uncreative.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. I love bringing that shit up because you guys are like, no, it's significant.
Well, how many of you do make, and you make also sex the thing that you're comfortable with? Like I remember at one point when we were first dating, and Brendon came up and was staying the weekend, and I wanted to have sex, and he didn't. I think this is in the book. And he goes, let's go down
There's a lot of shit in that book.
There is a lot of shit in that book. We talk about everything.
You're going to learn about us in that book.
And he said to me, he was like, let's go and have dinner or something. And I was like, fuck, like I don't know what to do with this. And he said, you do realise that this is more to me than just sex. And I went, oh my God, I don't know how to deal with that. I can deal with if we're just hooking up all the time having sex. But now it's something more than just sex. I was like, how the fuck do I deal with that? So how many of you are comfortable with that if you have sex, then you've defined it as something rather than what if every single day you ask questions and was like, okay, so what is this today? What next? And everything at that is times of Godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds.
It's a level of presence with 2 people that can create so much more beyond this reality. Pin drop.
Thank you. I get it.
Okay.
Arigato.
All right, we're going to do let's do one more question, because no one else is standing at microphones, because I love you guys, but not enough to stay here all night, because this topic is obviously an explosive thing in all of your worlds.
And Brendon does have, how's this? This is funny.
And you have a book here that
on
you can read.
On the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, he has Relationship Done Different, the beginning in Mexico. So you can go there live. You can jump on audio live as well. And Brendon and I do have our first 3-day class live in Noosa, Australia, on Relationship Done Different. You can also jump on that live stream if that's of interest to you as well. So there's lots going on. So, yes.
Hi.
Yes,
Hi.
That's right. I have a Relationship Done Different in Russia, as one does. One goes to Moscow and does a Relationship Done Different class. I'll be cold, but I'll be good.
Can you please elaborate a little more about when you said your ex was abusive in sex? I mean, what does that really mean, and how do you know if the other person is like that?
Well, you got to look at it from what's sex to you. Okay, because what's abusive to me with sex was the judgment that was involved with it. When people do judgment in sex, it's an abusive energy. Because it's looking at, okay, how do I get what I need from this sex, not how can I be a contribution to this person. Not saying that that's a wrongness, because people also have never been taught how to have sex. I mean, we had sex education in school when I was younger, and it was like, you have sex, you get somebody pregnant, or you get a disease. I was fucking...
Thank you. Looking forward to that. Yeah.
I was 10 years old. I mean, as far as I was concerned, this thing was for urinating still. It was like... But it's like, but these are the things, and we buy all of these points of view about sex that are just not true. So everything that all the points of view you all have about sex that are coming up right now, because I can hear your heads and it's very funny, we destroy and uncreate it.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond.
Look, it's about seeing what's true for you, and if sex was nothing but fun...
Can you also talk about what you just said?
I love you didn't even listen to that.
I did.
I know that you're Indian.
Yes. About the contribution to the other person in sex.
Well, is there something you're trying to get in the sex?
Mostly.
Well, if there's something you're trying to get out of sex, there's never contribution. It cannot exist when you're trying to take.
Like pleasure and whatnot.
Yeah, but the pleasure comes from what you're willing to receive, not from what you can get from another. Another person in sex does not create the pleasure in your body. Your willingness to receive what they have to contribute is what creates the pleasure. You guys are cute. That was fucking funny.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, relationship.
Are you sure you want one?
It is interesting though too, because so many people put money and business together and they put relationship and sex together. It's not like that. Relationship is relationship, sex is sex. It's just copulation, putting the body parts together.
Well,
and then relationship, what's that?
Keep going. I was Batman.
And then relationship is something entirely different. And what if you could create a unique, different relationship if you desire one? And if you don't desire one, that's okay too, okay? I really want you guys to get that, because the amount of questions that are coming out, especially from the media at the moment too, about like, what do you say to single people? Like, you know, the lepers over there, that they're single. It's like, what do you say to the lepers over there who are, you know, what, like, you're less than? It's like, you're not less than. It's just a choice. And can I tell you, if you're not in a relationship and you keep saying you desire one, you don't want one. If you're not in one, you don't want one. That's the way it works. It's like you might be bitching and moaning that you'd like one, but if you don't have one, then you're not in, then you don't desire one, because what you are creating right now is what you actually desire. So if you would like one, then start asking for a great relationship to show up.
And start looking at what's great about you. Okay, if you can start from that place and start actually looking at yourself in the mirror and liking who's looking back at you, then you have a possibility at creating a great relationship. Okay, if you're looking at that person in the mirror and there's something missing that you need to find in somebody else, or you need somebody else to tell you that is there in you that you've already decided is not, your relationship is always going to be based on need of that other person.
No one's going to complete you. You actually have to choose that, okay? So that's pretty much all I have to say. Yeah, me too. That's a big fucking topic.
The rest of it, read the book, okay?
Read the book, come to a class, okay? Relationship Done Different. You can also go to relationshipareyousureyouwantone.com and you can download the first chapter of the book. You can read that. You can join up for a bunch of stuff. And like I said, relationshipdonedifferent.com also has the classes that Brendon and myself are doing this year. I know he's got one in Hungary, and I think there's one in LA, in Los Angeles that he's doing, and then we've got the one in Noosa, Australia, together live streamed, etc. Russia, Mexico, the world's your oyster.
And remember again, Valentine. You can come and be my Valentine.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm willing to have a lot of Valentines this year.
Excellent. Cool. So if you guys bought books, if you have not bought a book and you'd like one, I highly recommend buying the book. Seriously. If you've even we really get vulnerable about this. So you can buy the books up the back there, and if you desire, we can do some book signing over there on the left-hand side. So, and for you guys on live stream, you can go to all your usual places of Amazon, etc. in your country, and go to the relationshipareyousureyouwantone.com, and we will guide you in how to find something next.
Not abuse you into...
Well, the website doesn't really abuse, it guides.
Oh, guides.
Yeah.
Thinking abuse.
But he can abuse you on the 14th of February. I was like,
abuse you into freedom with relationship. Okay.
Yeah. Anyone can join on the 14th of February with him, and the 21st I'm in Moscow, he's in Mexico. I just love that fact that it's like Moscow, Mexico, but we're Australian. Let's do it. The world's our oyster.
And I'd also like to thank you all again. It's the support that we have had, not only in writing this book, but obviously the vulnerability that we've had with people in the last, 6 months. People have been very supportive and very grateful and they've been willing to look at things from a different place for themselves based on what we have been choosing. So please know that we are so grateful for you guys and for everyone out there that supported us. And thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are wonderful. And if we can crack this fucking topic, Jesus Christ, what a different world we can have if everyone's not fucked up about relationships.
And we're literally living and creating our next book, Uncreating Relationships. So,
we're not going to call it conscious uncoupling.
Can I just say thank you to Justine from Mikkel Media. She's been friggin' fabulous. And
we love you, Juzzy.
And also Katerina, who's been leading so much of this with Lauren Marie, and both of our dazzles, which is, Megan, Marnie, Emily, Melanie, Sue, Sean. Help me out. Anyone else?
We said Kat.
No, I said Kat. I said her first. I'm leaving someone else out. I feel really bad now.
You all know who you are.
Wrong. Alba, who helps with all the books and everything. There's an ACP, Access Consciousness Publishing Company. That's who we publish through. So thank you, everybody. How does it get any better than this?
Thank you, guys. Don't have too much fun in relationship.